Right now, Athletic Director J.D. Wicker joins us on the Mark and Rich Show. J.D., thanks so much for coming on. You know, we've been sitting here talking about how Brian Dutcher, he's going to take the baton and run, and it's going to be the same type of vibe and the same type of program. But in your words, what is San Diego State's program losing today with Steve Fisher walking away?
Well, I don't know that I would say we're losing anything. We're transitioning. We've got Steve. Steve's still going to be around. He's going to be part of the university, the athletic department, and, still a part of the community as a whole. With Brian Dutcher, we get a phenomenal coach who's been there for, with Steve since, 1989. So we've got a guy who's been there every step of the way, who I have no doubt is going to step in, and we aren't going to miss a beat.
Yeah, and obviously a longtime coach for the Aztecs. Dutcher fills in. Describe your relationship with Steve Fisher. Is this going to be a hard transition for you?
I don't think so. I mean, again, fortunate that Steve is, like I said in my comments, he's a great man first and foremost, and a great basketball coach. So have had a very good relationship since I got here in 2011, and have enjoyed that. And at the same time have had the opportunity to work with Brian Dutcher in that same time and get to know him and Jan and the girls, and looking forward to that as well. And, it's a staff that truly works together. And it's something that you don't always see. You'll have a head coach who, I'm the head coach and everybody else listens to me. This is a staff that works together.
Athletic Director J.D. Wicker, San Diego State, joining us. J.D., we watch this stuff and we don't really know how it all comes together. You watch Steve Fisher take something and build it from nothing into something. And behind the scenes, we don't know how somebody does that. What did you watch? How did he do this?
Well, Steve Fisher and Brian Dutcher went out and sold a vision for a program to young men who bought in. And back in, when they first got on campus, they convinced young men to come into a program that went 5-23 that first year, and built that into a team that went to the NCAA, went to the NIT, had a couple down years there, but then really got it rolling. And so they've sold a vision for what San Diego State basketball can be. And it's a vision that you can come here and you can win big time. You can get an education, and you can be successful men after you leave San Diego.
Was Coach Fisher's retirement completely on his own volition? Were you or anybody else in San Diego State's hierarchy involved in the decision for him to retire?
Literally how Mark Ziegler wrote it in the UT yesterday is how it happened. Steve walked into my office at 9 o'clock yesterday morning, and, we exchanged pleasantries. The banquet the night before was great, and then he said, "John David, I've decided to retire," and I'm not sure I heard anything after that.
Amazing.
So it was truly him and his family making that decision, and then he let us know, which is how it should be.
What needs to happen next? I mean, Steve Fisher leaves. He does an incredible job. He'd be the first to tell you this most recent year was not his best. So what is the immediate job for Brian Dutcher right now?
It was a disappointing year by our standards. 19-14, a lot of people would look at that and say, wow, that's not really disappointing. But for us, it wasn't to our standards. And both Steve and Brian and the rest of the coaching staff were in the office Monday after we lost to Colorado State in the conference championship, and back hard at it. Meeting with players, summarizing what the season had been and what needed to happen going forward, and then also out on the recruiting trail. So the coaching staff is doing exactly what they need to do, and that's out recruiting, selling the vision of San Diego State, and then the young men that are in the program are working hard to get better, and we'll continue doing that throughout the summer. And I think we'll be back right where we have been in the past, challenging for a conference championship and an NCAA tournament berth.
San Diego State Athletic Director John David Wicker joining us on Extra 1360. John David, any concern whatsoever about recruiting in terms of, okay, so the Aztecs football team has an uncertain future as far as where its home's going to be. A lot of universities use their facilities as recruiting tools. You know, you mentioned Steve Fisher and Brian Dutcher out on the trail as soon as the season ended. Do you see an expedited deadline now that there's been a transition at head coach to get the Aztec football situation resolved?
No, I mean, we continue to work in the same path that we have been. You know, we're fortunate. We had the opportunity to sit down with the mayor a couple weeks ago, and we'll continue, waiting to hear back from the mayor on, how we move forward on, what Mission Valley will look like.
JD, I have some more Steve Fisher questions, but while we're on that subject, has there been, Nick Stone of FS Investors recently was on our show and said that he admitted that in this moment, there's some strife in the relationship between them and San Diego State, but that's been a couple weeks. Would you describe it that way, or has anything changed?
I think we continue to talk with Mayor Faulkner. He invited us down and wanted to understand what our vision was for San Diego State. So we continue to work with the city to understand what our vision for San Diego State is down in Mission Valley, and we'll go from there.
San Diego State's athletic director, J.D. Wicker, joining us on Mark and Rich. Steve Fisher mentioned that his legacy, even after the Fab Five in Michigan and all the praise throughout his early part of his career, will be an Aztec legacy. How much does that mean to you as the athletic director of this university, that he stands by the work he did at San Diego State as his crowning achievement of his career?
It's tremendous for us. Again, a great man and a great ambassador for San Diego State University. He's helped elevate a basketball program, which has in turn helped, in some ways has helped elevate the institution as a whole. When you're making deep runs into March and you're, consistently being talked about across the national spectrum, people listen, people hear that, and they get interested in San Diego State. So Steve Fisher has done, tremendous things for this institution, and I'm excited that I'm still going to be able to see him on a regular basis and that he still wants to be part of San Diego State.
Yeah, and JD, real quick, what exactly does that look like? You've said it, he said it. He's still going to be around. Give us an example of what that role would be like, or a scenario where you would call on him going forward.
We haven't. There have been discussions going all the way back to as Dutcher said, when he got the head coach and waiting title of what Steve might want to do. And I think it's being an ambassador for the university, helping us in a development role at times when we feel that that's appropriate, and out continuing to connect San Diego State and the community so we can continue to build that relationship.
JD, we know it's a busy day. We really appreciate you jumping on for a few. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Go Aztecs.